Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. These inspiring and deeply insightful words of extraordinary wisdom were written in his last days by a man who spent his life in the service to humanity, Desmond Berghofer. On October 17, 2025, 11 days before his 87th birthday, Desmond died in my arms, surrounded by his family. He was at peace with himself and his life. A lifelong writer, he continued to write until 2 weeks before he died. 30 days later, gathering courage, I entered his beautiful library writing space to see what needed to be preserved. There, in the top drawer of his desk, obviously left for me to discover, was a neatly placed document that I read with flowing tears. He called it a Book of Prophetic Verses. While written in the style and rhythm of the 2,000-year-old scriptures of 3 ancient religions, the content was the product of a modern mind, a heart with a broad range of knowledge in science, in the arts, and life. It was the spiritual Bible of an evolved humanity for the millennia. He clearly did not want to be here when it was revealed, but he wanted it to be shared. Therefore, we are sending it out at first to those we believe are ready to hear these words as his gift to us and our gift to you at the solstice, at Christmas, and Hanukkah, a time of great spirit and gift-giving. We ask you to share it with those you know who are ready to hear it and act on what he calls the human destiny. Then we will send it out more widely and encourage you to do the same. We send this to you with hope for the future of humanity.
Book of Prophetic Verses, the spiritual Bible of an evolved humanity for the millennia, by Dr. Desmond Berghofer. Chapter 1. Out of the vast and boundless immensity, hear words of wisdom to usher in a new beginning. O people of the earth, you were born of the universe to glorify and proclaim its perfect unity. But for generations, you've fallen into the era of separation, and now have come to the point of breakdown and collapse. Hear, O people of the earth, in the 3rd millennium, for great danger is upon you. The ways of separation divide you from each other and from the earth that nourishes you. Ah, willful civilization of many nations, you seek dominion, but do not know the origins from which you come and the destiny prepared for you ahead. Know this: there is no future for you while you dwell in your houses of separation and know not the joy of beauty and of union. You will destroy yourselves if you stay on the path of division and do not find the way of unity and collaboration. Out of a single jot of concentrated energy, you were born with the universe, filled with immense potential for becoming. But you have strayed from that path of evolutionary unfolding, heading towards a dead end of extinction. Unless you break free and hear the words of wisdom revealing the truth of all you need to know, that you are one with all that is, inseparable, undivided, a bond of everlasting oneness. Oh, willful, pernicious, uncomprehending children of darkness, seek you the light while it still remains within your grasp, but not for long. For the universe will continue its unfolding with or without the wayward children of the earth. The door will close on your participation, and the universe will find another way for its continuing quest into ultimate perfection. Hear these words, O children of the earth. You are in the last days of your willful departure from the path of oneness. What profits it you to achieve great strides in discovery and accomplishment when they're leading to destruction? You're on the wrong path, leading into everlasting darkness and diversion from the one true path of evolutionary unfolding. Cease now from your destructive deliberations and embrace the truth. Chapter 2. O children of iniquity, know that your journey into desolation proceeds from false choices born from primitive misperception and compounded over ages of error. You were an intention of the great thought that gave birth to the universe, not there at the beginning, but intended as an emergence, so that the universe could discover and comprehend its origin. Just as the unborn child is an intention of the love of its parents, so were you, an intention of the love in which the universe began. But then, O people of the earth, a great tragedy befell your ancestors when the myth of separation infected their minds, and they turned from the one true path of unity and love with new thoughts of conquest and domination. Born in the minds of men, images of warrior gods conquering those who were not of the same tribe, and taking their land and possessions proved more powerful than the nurturance of the female mind. The sacred connection to nature was lost. Conflict, struggle, and destructive competition broke out among the people of the earth. Conquest and domination gave birth to nations. New thoughts of conquest, even of the earth, set the people on a path of opposition to their origins. O generations of the third millennium, you are the inheritors of this great falsehood. Hear and understand. You are called to the great turning away from the darkness now manifesting into a breaking point of chaos and tribulation, born of the myth of separation, into the creation of a new myth of unity and oneness. This is the time of trial and testing, but you have reassurance that you're not being called to something entirely new. It is a task of rediscovery of what was lost, a time when life flourished in universal peace and people embraced the spirit of feminine nurture and love. O people of the earth, generations of the third millennium, do you hear? Do you understand? This is your heritage, to bequeath to earth a path that will lead to universal peace and a return to your evolutionary mission of revelation. Chapter 3. The evidence of breakdown is all around you, O generations of the third millennium. Pay heed and reverse these ways. When leaders of the great powers on earth are focused on dominion, territorial aggrandizement, economic superiority, while the earth cries out in pain. Outbreak of war again in Europe. Former hotbed of the world's greatest agony. Suppressed for a time through leadership of vision for peaceful coexistence and cooperation. But now, inflamed again by the same false claims for dominion, corruption in the minds of leadership that knows no bounds on conquest and destruction. Hear this, oh, hear this, children of the earth. Reject the false leadership that the world has seen before, which brought only the ashes of despair. And in the Middle East, home of three great religions, whose messages of peace on the lips of millions of followers have never reached the hearts and minds to dispel the myth of separation, great wickedness has erupted beyond all human comprehension. Slaughter of the innocents, hatred so vile that it has no place in the universe. Repetition of atrocities that are an abomination in the history of human life. But breaking out again, beyond the power of governing minds to control, because they are twisted in the tentacles of separation and held captive by the belief in division that sees no path to reconciliation. Oh, children of the earth, reject this wickedness. Cry out in protest, not of the right on one side or the other, but in demand for righteousness for everyone, in recognition of common humanity that sees not the other, but the self in the other. To know that all are one, and what we do to the other, we do to ourselves. And the same for all of the other divisions that have torn the fabric of humanity, of economics that values capital above people, of poverty and hunger because of loss of livelihood, of the agony of displacement by war and the failure of agriculture, and of the greatest danger of all, the destruction of ecosystems on which all life depends by the works of your own hands, grounded in error, ignorance, and arrogance. O people of the earth, generations of the third millennium, rise up. Rise up against the peril that is upon you. Embrace the nobility of your heritage to turn away from the divisions that will destroy you. Born of the universe, surrender to the unfolding of your destiny. Envision the possible to create your new reality of unity and peace. Chapter 4. Lest you do not see the consequences, let us set down here for all to know the path on which you have set your feet. The early indications are already upon you. Festering wounds, self-inflicted, ruptures in the known conditions of life, beginning small, but spreading in relentless consequences of perversity. When floods follow drought, and wildfires ravage the land, and the livelihoods and the well-being of the many, until the agony seen in the worst afflicted places becomes the normal for everywhere. Can you imagine the devastation when the ice melts, when the seas rise, when cities are submerged, when every waking moment is spent in search of a way out of the destructive forces of nature, which you formerly sought to bring under your dominion? The ways of commerce are disrupted. Supply chains are broken as factories fail. Energy systems falter Electricity grids collapse, the power goes out, the lights go off, the heat shuts down in the middle of winter, and perishing cold invades every human space. All this, but only the surface of affliction. Governance breaks down. Health systems falter, food chains break down in empty shelves. Just in time becomes never in time as railways cease to run, planes no longer fly, trucks bringing supplies no longer arrive. Surely not. Too much to contemplate. Civilization, built over millennia, cannot collapse like that. But when the civilization is built on the myth of separation, and every other is the enemy, what prevents the collapse? When order becomes disorder, and corrupted minds in moments destroy the bonds built over ages, when nature is torn apart, and even ocean depths are scoured in quest to sustain a way of life that can never be sustained. When so much is lost, what then restrains the hands of madness from releasing the destructive power of the force that holds the very atoms of existence together and renders the earth as lifeless and desolate as it was at the beginning? Oh, children of the earth, do not think that this can never happen. The thought energy of your minds determines the ultimate outcome for your existence. When that energy is focused on destruction of the other, the only outcome is destruction of the all. In that quagmire, you are now deeply immersed. No power outside yourselves will determine your fate. You're being called now to regain the vision of the original intent at the beginning of the universe. Lift up your eyes to see the beauty and perfection of unity and collaboration, and reject the ultimate despair of conflict and competition. Chapter 5. Lift your eyes to see a brighter, glorious vision. Nourished by unconditional love, it erupts in a sunburst of wondrous possibility. Can you imagine? Can you see? Can you feel the joyousness of everlasting peace? Glorious, golden peace, where children are born in safety for themselves and their mothers. They're nourished in their families and given the gift of education to become the best that they can be. Where all people are seen as equal. No divisions, no judgments of race, religion, gender, and economic status. Nourished in love, unconditional love. Where voices are raised in song and praise for goodness and beauty of the earth and all its creatures, of the boundless immensity of the universe, of the loving relationships in the human family, of civilization built in harmony with the living world, of the everlasting golden peace that pervades every choice and decision and fills every heart with compassion, kindness, and the joy of unity and collaboration. O people of the earth, can you raise your minds to know in your hearts that all this is possible? Wherefore would you seek to fight and conquer the other, which is a part of you and of which you are a part? Where is the benefit in division and separation when all of this is yours for the choosing? See and remember the perfection in your own human body and the bodies of all living creatures, where every cell knows its part to work in harmony with every other cell, to manifest the miracle of life. This is the template that has emerged out of evolution for you to model, to consciously create the evolution of how to live together, to achieve the perfect union of original intent. Cast your minds forward. What do you see? The perfection of life in an everlasting golden peace, or the ravages of desolation caused by conflict and the quest for dominion? Know this, the choice is yours, but it is achieved only through surrender to the working of the life force of original intent. Allow it to flow through you and see each other as the perfect part of a perfect unity of life. With faith, belief, and trust in the perfection of life, all things are possible. O generation of the third millennium, embrace your destiny for the triumph of goodness. Seek with all your hearts the love into which you were born, and allow it to flow into all your relationships, guiding your thoughts and actions, and you will surely see the achievement that you most earnestly desire. Chapter 6. The transformation begins with the voice of the people calling for change. Come together in small groups. See yourselves marching on the streets of the world, not protesting what is wrong, but proclaiming the vision of what you see must be done to create Pax Humana, the peace of humanity, where people live in peace in their homes, in their communities, in their cities, and in their nations. Invoke the stillness of mind, multiple minds, resting in each other until the thought of what you can do together emerges, and you can see how to act in the place where you live to create one small part of a greater peace that builds and swells across the earth. You have this power in your minds, but only if they work together. Begin with envisaging the possible, a myriad of creative ideas. No criticism, just nourishment of the potential until you feel in your hearts the power you have together to bring the change that will make a difference, and then move forward with deliberate intent to do it. Oh, people of the earth, you must take the power into your own hands to break free from the myth of separation. Restore the nourishing love of feminine wisdom to unite, to bond, to proclaim the goodness of perfect unity. In everything you do, let your intent be to uplift the other. Where there is fear, encourage boldness. Where there is doubt, show certainty. Where there is anger, give love. Celebrate every success. Let each small step compound into a sweeping transformation until the triumph of goodness is seen by every eye, and those who would choose to hold to the old ways of conflict are confounded. Never doubt the power of intention of each small group to manifest in the transformation of the whole, as long as the intent is focused on unity and the greater good. Be vigilant and strong, certain in the rightness of your way, to achieve universal peace and prosperity for all, through concentration on uplifting the other to be the best that they can be. This is the imperative of evolution towards perfect unity. Embrace it now and secure the destiny of original intent. Chapter 7. Look now and see the contrast of alternative visions. Along the path of unity and love, see the happiness of people flourishing in the joyfulness of lives of collaboration. See the multiple acts of loving kindness where those who suffer affliction and misfortune are supported in their communities until they're restored to wholeness, where people act to share what they have with those less fortunate than themselves, where all living creatures, from the greatest to the smallest, are treated with respect and caring as part of the fabric of life, where nature is seen as sacred and not to be wantonly destroyed, where civilization is sustained through the gentle use of materials and reuse and recycling in a continuous, virtuous circle. No waste, no pollution, no destruction of landscape or living systems, where clean and abundant energy is available to all from the field that sustains the universe, where humanity reaches its apex on Earth and breaks free of planetary bonds to explore the immense unknown of interstellar space and find other cosmic beings to join in the ongoing quest for perfect unity. All this as one possible alternative beyond the struggle of the first quarter of the 21st century, or the alternative of a collapse into chaos, where life support systems begin to fail and habitation is no longer possible in many places on Earth, and millions are forced to flee in search of somewhere to live, and conflict erupts all over the world as nations fight to protect their borders against the other whom they have never learned to recognize as part of themselves. Civil war within countries as people fight to protect what they have against others they have never learned to love. Those with great wealth seek to build refuges for themselves, and others of their like protecting themselves with military might. But when all is desperation and there's nowhere left to turn, the first nuclear strike is launched to seek some advantage which is quickly lost in inevitable retaliation. And the remaining habitable land is poisoned and the atmosphere destroyed. And the miraculous story of life on Earth comes quickly to an end as the planet is taken offline in the quest for evolutionary perfection. O people of the earth, this is your choice: to learn to love each other, to learn again to love the earth, to rediscover the nurturing wisdom of the divine feminine. So let it be. Embrace the wave of unity, now released on earth to guide your consciousness into relationships of harmony and peace. The choice is yours to make. A future of flourishing collaboration in everlasting peace, or the agony of incremental collapse into everlasting oblivion. Chapter 8. Let your minds be filled with visions of triumph. Embrace your heritage as global citizens to create a civilization of unity and cooperation, where every voice is heard in loving acceptance, and differences dissolve because they have no ground in which to grow, where barriers of division and distrust never arise because they have no foundation on which to stand, where the challenges of circumstance are met with mutual support proportional to the need, where the diversity of life is celebrated in acts that sustain the richness of our natural heritage, where assembles of people speak up in unison, for the preservation of everything that sustains the beauty and the richness of what we have, where leaders emerge who represent in strength the values and will of the people who elected them. Can you imagine, O people of the earth, how step by step this vision can be attained out of the deepening despair that surrounds you now? It begins in voices of tolerance, in feelings of compassion and kindness for people everywhere, in proposals for collaboration for the greater good, then spreads to withdrawal of support for whatever is in opposition to general well-being and to the downsizing of enterprises built to sustain the myth of separation and protection against the enemy. And it swells in action to protect the earth and all its living systems so that life on earth is sustained for its ascendance towards perfection. All this arising from the will of the people whose minds have been stirred with thoughts of unity and collaboration, and whose hearts are filled with love for those they formerly saw as adversaries. O people of the earth, generations of the third millennium, reach now for this great achievement that you were born to accomplish. Chapter 9. Be this a time of great rejoicing, or a time of tribulation and sorrow, the choice is in the hands of the people of the earth, who can rise up and proclaim the destiny for which they were born. Across the earth's vast expanse of land and ocean hangs a question yet unanswered, whether to collapse under the burden of self-inflicted woe, or rise up out of the depths of ignorance and error and claim the intended prize. These verses include the wisdom of all humanity. Act with boldness and great courage. Choose peace. The Waging Peace Project, humanity's golden peace.
Hello again. I hope you were as deeply moved as I was, and as the Visioneers and International Foundation of Learning board members were in reading these deeply resonating words. It turns out that while human life has a beginning and an end in finite time, the unique contribution to the evolution of all life of great ideas are timeless. Indeed, while generated in response to a particular time and place, their relevance, like the tide, is timeless and universal. In the year 1599 in England, William Shakespeare wrote these words in his play, The Tragedy of Julius Caesar. And here they are. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood lead on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyages of their life is bound in the shallows. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. The extraordinary contributions of such important ideas uniquely offered as visions, stories, and images by individuals of great talent have life-enhancing potential again and again at other times, where they appear fresh and new. These prophetic verses were written in the last few weeks of Desmond's life. They were a central expression of his vision for the future and in his work with the Visioneers. As his wife, his partner, and co-founder of the Visioneers International Network, I send it to you as a gift at the winter solstice, at Christmas, at Hanukkah, and many other spiritual festivals, a time of thoughtful reflection and the gestation of future action. Because at this moment, on such a full sea are we now afloat. So let us take the current when it serves. And if you are ready to make an important contribution, send these prophetic verses into your network to those ready to hear it, with a special request from you that they share it in the very same way. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning.